Week away from Easter, so it's that time of year again to address the claims where people try to attempt and say that Easter is a pagan holiday that the Christians took over sometime in the past, and that Christians today that partake in activities that we do at Easter are involving themselves within these pagan activities. As we've talked about many times before, this is total nonsense. There's no evidence for any of these types of claims, but we're going to look at a few of these ideas just to detail where these claims are wrong. First, many people look to the Council of Nicaea, where we first get the ideas and the dates of Easter, and where some of these activities happen. They're what we see today. However, the reality of this event is actually that the church just really established the date of Easter at the Council of Nicaea, which gave it the time frame of the spring equinox. But this had nothing to do with other pagan festivals of the time. As we all know, the Council of Nicaea was drawn together primarily because of the Arian controversy, of Arian trying to say that Jesus was a created being. But they certainly did address the debate about Easter at the time as well. Now, there's nothing that's pagan about Easter in this context. Easter is the celebration of the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Even our modern word for Easter today comes from the Latin and or the Hebrew word for Passover. And this is literally what we refer to when we talk about Easter. It is literally the Passover. That's what it is about today. And we all know the Passover story, or at least most of us do. And if you don't, the story is basically this. The Exodus story with Moses and the God of Israel. What happens is God saves Israel out of Egypt, out of slavery, in the book of Exodus with Moses. And as they leave Egypt and they're on the run, away from the Egyptians who are coming after them, God tells Moses and the people of Israel to paint the doorposts of their homes with the blood of the lamb in this story. And every house that has the blood of the lamb would be passed over in judgment. This is the origin story of the Israelites, at least the way that they put it. And this is the story that continues to hold to this idea today. So that is what the Passover is. Obviously, then you understand this within the context of Jesus. Jesus is seen as the Passover lamb, hence we celebrate it today, like this. So there is absolutely no evidence that the word Easter has any kind of pagan root, because many people try to connect this to other goddesses and what have you, like Eostre and stuff of this sort. But again, there's just no evidence of this. The Hebrew word Peshka literally means Passover. Now, we can see where maybe this myth began. Perhaps some people have mentioned this. The scholar for the YouTube channel named Religion for Breakfast has mentioned this, and so has Tim O'Neill on his blog History for Atheists. We don't have the idea that Easter comes from this goddess named Eostre. It doesn't stem from any particular source, but some people think that it does come from an 8th century monk named Bede. But they think that this quote that is given for him is actually misinterpreted. So rather than using it as like a name of a goddess, he's not using it in this kind of way in this sentence. So there really isn't anything that connects Easter and these other festivals of other pagan activities. Now, a lot of people do question, though, what about the Easter bunnies and the eggs and this kind of stuff? This stuff, again, really isn't controversial. The egg issue certainly comes from the Lent that Christians would partake in, the 40-day period between the sufferings of Jesus. And Catholics mainly still do this today. You have a 40-day period where you abstain yourself from particular foods. You don't eat a particular kind of foods, and you fast and so forth. And when they would do this back in the day, you would obviously have a huge leftover of all of these eggs, because this is one of the items that they did not eat. And during this time frame, many years ago, these people would then take these eggs and they would just paint over them and use them for all kinds of their other activities. So there's nothing of a connection between paganism and eggs and painting your eggs and so forth either. These are specifically Christian celebrations, things that they were doing in this time. They were very much of the Christian time frame of the Lent and so forth. And we also see that the bunnies, again, nothing pagan about those as well. I think some people could just look at it this way. Look, bunnies usually come about in the springtime. There's really no reason to think that anything deeper than that. Easter, Passover usually happens around the spring, obviously. So you see bunnies around this time. So we associate bunnies around this time of the year. And I think it's about as simple as that. I don't think anybody needs to look any further into these things and try to suggest that there's some deeper connection that the church doesn't want you to know. But that's really the root of it here, is like, look, Easter is not a pagan holiday. It's inherently a Christian holiday. So whether you're a Christian or not, you can partake in any of these things without feeling any kind of ill regard. So thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe for more content like this, and let me know down below whether you agree or disagree.